Part 100. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 991. Chapter 991. Lin Na can finally see it. If you hide behind Lan Meng, you will not have the effect of controlling the whole scene at all. Instead, you may be angry to death by Lan Meng's behavior. It's the kind of pure anger. Lin Na had no choice but to show up to prevent herself from being angry to death. He stopped Sunian before she got in the car. Mrs. Li, Miss Lan, why are you here? What a coincidence. Sunian couldn't help but chuckle when she heard this. At the same time, she was really a little disappointed. After all, she really thought that she had met her opponent and the game would become interesting. But, now it turns out that I really thought too much. I think it's unfortunate, at least it's unlucky for me and Lan Min. After all, looking at Lan Min's attitude, it's obvious that he just came to block me. Lan Min really cares about my husband. After all, Lan Min is still pregnant. With such a big belly, and risking such a big thing by coming to this place, if I were my husband, I would definitely be very touched. Lin Na is a smart person, and she can also feel Sunian's contempt for her. Lin Na can also understand. But there was no way, who made her meet a pig teammate? Mrs. Li, what do you mean? Danger. Is there any danger here? Lin Na asked. Lan Zhen understood immediately when Lin Na spoke, and quickly caught Lin Na's words. Yes, Sunian, why did you say that? What do you want to do to the child in my belly? I really didn't expect you to do it, Ken. Hey, Lan, I hope you won't say anything nonsense, okay? What do you mean by what to do to your child? Is there something wrong with your mind? Haven't you noticed that you are on the highway now, surrounded by haven't you seen so many cars? Then tell me what you can see. This is what Sunian meant. She really didn't expect it? Lin Na really admires Sunian now. After such a long time, Lin Na finally understood why Sunian was so powerful. In fact, Sunian grasped this ordinary point. Some things don't need to be too complicated. Miss Lan, Mrs. Li is also thinking about you. You still have to pay more attention to this. The place we are now is indeed very dangerous. I think you should leave for the time being. After all, we are pregnant now, but two people, if something goes wrong with your body, no one can take responsibility. Of course Lan Min understood that Lin Na was letting herself leave. But she was also worried at the same time, could she really leave like this? If you leave like this, what should Lin Na do if she feels that she has no so-called use value? Although Lan Ren hates Lin Na's use of her, now she has such weight. Lan Min simply smiled and said, it's okay. I'm not a child, so don't worry. Lan Min, what's going on with you? I care about you, but you get so angry. When others care about you, you just smile at others. Don't you really think you have a double standard for your behavior? Sunian directly grasped this point. And at the end, he looked at Lan Min with as much contempt as he could. It's like looking at garbage. Sunian has been around for so long, and still has the ability to control his eyes. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 992. Chapter 992, Give up when it's time to give up. Lan Min didn't think so much. Now that Sunian said this, I feel really embarrassed. Lan Min, you are talking. Why are you not talking? Are you feeling guilty? I know you hate me, but do you really don't have to be like this? You are embarrassing me for such a small thing. Haha, I robbed you. A man? No, didn't you keep saying that you don't like bacon? No matter how you say it, you can't say that I robbed your man, So tell me what I did to make you pick on me like this. That's right, Sunian is making trouble unreasonably. She doesn't have much face in front of these people anyway. At this time, of course, Lin Na could only speak, okay, Mrs. Lee also thinks about you, Miss Lan. At the same time, Mrs. Lee should not be too aggressive. After all, Miss Lan is also a pregnant woman, so you should be a little more considerate. Well, since you said that, what else can I say? After all, if I go too far and cause something to happen to your child, then it is very likely that I will be blamed. Sunian felt that his face was really as vicious as it was now. Hey, she is indeed a vicious female supporting character. Lan Min's face is really as ugly as it is. Lin Na didn't want anything to go wrong with Lan Ren's pregnancy, so she took a few steps forward and protected Lin Na behind her. Mrs. Lee, what you said is a bit too serious. Why am I serious? I clearly know that my husband is having physical problems now. I have been working hard to take care of my husband these days. I only go out for a walk when my husband's condition is a little better. What's wrong with this? Why let her be stuck here? Sunian wanted to laugh the moment he saw Lan Min. It was so embarrassing to use such a stupid trick. But Sunian can understand it. After all, he didn't show up for so many days, and they had no chance to find him. Now he finally showed up. How could they not want to do something? But she was too impatient and thought she was a fool. In this case, don't blame Sunian for being rude to them. Just caring. Then I thank you for your concern. Sunian increased the contempt in his eyes. Lan Shi, are you satisfied with my thank you? If you are not satisfied, then I can find another way to say thank you to you. For your satisfaction. Lin Na saw that Sunian was so aggressive and felt that she could not continue like this. If she continued, it would be a waste of the opportunity for Sunian to appear. You must know that when fighting against a smart person like Sunian, you must seize any opportunity. If you cannot seize it, you will probably lose. Absolutely cannot let such a thing happen. So faced with such a situation, the only choice is to abandon the car and save the handsome man. Immediately, Lin Na turned to look at Lan Min. Ms. Lan, hey, I saw that you were a pregnant woman and thought I needed to take some care of you, but now that I heard Mrs. Lee's words, I really can't stand it anymore. Yes, as a pregnant woman, you are indeed a vulnerable group in this society, but you can't be so overbearing just because you are a vulnerable group. If you are so overbearing, even if you are a vulnerable group, no one will really care. Sincerely, for your own good. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 993. Chapter 993, Guess It? Lin Na's sudden change really caught Lan Min off guard. Isn't this Lin Na on her side? Why did Lin Na say that? Lin Na also saw Lan Min's incredible look, but this look really gave Lin Na a headache. After all, she had been in contact with Lan Min for so long, and she still had a tacit understanding. Even if there was no tacit understanding, she still had some brains. Sunian said something that Lin Na now thinks is right. The lower limit of this Ian's IQ is really constantly being refreshed. In order not to ruin her plan, Lin Na quickly spoke again. Miss Lan, I can see from your expression that you must feel uncomfortable now. Since you are uncomfortable, then I really suggest that you have a good rest now. I see that there is no driver in your car, so you should drive here by yourself. I think it's a bit bad for you to drive by yourself. How about I arrange for someone to take you home? After all, there is a saying that says, don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of the worst. After Lin Na said this, someone immediately appeared behind Lan Min. Looking like Lan Min had to leave. What else can Lan Min do? He can only be obedient. But just when Lan Shi was about to follow him obediently, Sunian's voice rang out, "Miss Lan, please wait a moment. I haven't said anything to you yet. After all, I'm very busy now and we don't have the chance to meet so much. I don't even know when our next meeting will be, so I still feel like I have to finish my words." When Sunian said this, he walked to Lan Min's side and hugged Lan Min very diligently. Such an operation made the two women present dumbfounded. After all, Sunian's attitude changed too quickly. Such an attitude really catches people off guard. The next moment, Lan Min's face became ugly. The reason why Lan Min's face looked like this was because Sunian was in her ear and said in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "Lan Min, don't you really feel that you are a failure? I just said something casually, and Lin Na would just give up on you. I understand why you are doing this recently. You are just unwilling to be a lover, so you just want to be on the big stage. But after such a long time, haven't you really discovered that you're not worthy at all?" When Sunian said this, his face was as close as possible. Even after saying this, he patted her with great concern and said loudly, "Lan Min, you didn't keep saying before that Baikan just treats you as a sister, so on behalf of Baikan, I really hope don't let anything happen to you. After all, if you really talk about it, your child will be called my aunt when she is born." Sunian originally wanted to back away after saying this. But unexpectedly, Lan Min directly held her wrist at this moment. "Do you really think I don't know what you mean? You are just deliberately irritating me. You just think that I can't control my emotions. What can I do? Sunian, do you really think I'm so stupid and haven't made any progress?" When Lan Min said this, he laughed wildly. But Sunian sighed deeply at this moment. "What about you? You also think that I would do such a stupid thing? If you can guess my thoughts so easily, then you won't be my opponent." These words made Lan Min's expression change instantly. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 994. Chapter 994, Always slipping up at critical moments. Sunian felt very happy when she saw Lan Min's expression. Just to tease this little guy for fun. The reason why Sunian did this, if you really want to talk about it, is very simple, just to let Lin Na see how stupid her opponent is. How could he possibly play with himself when he has such stupid teammates? Lin Na also saw it. In fact, Lin Na had no idea about Lan Ren. Smart chess pieces have smart ways to use them, and stupid chess pieces have stupid ways to use them. This is also the reason why Lin Na tolerates Lan Min. However, looking at Sunian's attitude, it seems that Lan Ren is completely useless, at least in dealing with Sunian. Then Lin Na started to applaud casually. "Mrs. Lee, you are really not simple. It is really interesting to play with a smart person like you." Sunian raised his eyebrows slightly. What does Lin Na mean? Don't you want to hide behind Lan Min? Indeed, hiding behind a brainless person does not make sense. Yeah, it's really fun to play with smart people, but at the same time I really hate people who think they are smart and think I'm stupid. There's nothing fun about that kind of person. Lin Na nodded when she said this. "Well, I feel the same way. I also hate such people. I even think that such people have brain problems. It's like they are the smartest in the world. It's like when Nuwa created human beings, she carefully created him, and people like us were created casually by Nuwa." Sunian, this Lin Na is interesting, very interesting. So Sunian laughed directly. "What do we call this? Is it that heroes think alike? Miss Lin, I really think you are very interesting now. I really regret it now and regret why I didn't seriously make friends with you before. if I had made friends with you seriously before, then I would definitely have a lot more fun. After Sunian said this, she stretched out her hand towards Lin Na. Lin Na also extended her hand. I also want to ask Mrs. Lee about this. Why did I hang around you for so long? Why didn't you notice me? Do I have no sense of existence? I was even thinking about whether I should think of some way to increase my presence. The two women had smiles on their faces. They both know that the other is not someone to be trifled with. After putting down her hand, Lin Na pretended to be curious and asked, "Hey, I really want to know what's going on with Mr. Li. I just heard about Mr. Lee's injury, and I really doubted that I heard it wrong. I really don't know who has the courage to attack Mr. Li." Sunian was really speechless at this moment. This Lin Na, just speak, why do you have to look like a bitch? Such a bitch-like look was really unbearable. Sunian even felt goosebumps rising on his body. Is this what Lin Na did? Are you thinking about using disgusting methods to attack yourself and then make yourself sick to death? Sunian laughed when he thought of this. When Sunian laughed, the scene suddenly felt a little awkward. Sunian felt a little embarrassed when she felt the awkward atmosphere, and at the same time she couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. Hey, why did you drop the chain at this time? Now it's a bit embarrassing to drop the chain. It's like this when he first paired with his opponent. Sunian really wants to strangle herself to death now. She seriously wants to strangle herself to death. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich Jong Word. Chapter 995. Chapter 995. Mrs. Lee, you are so funny. If Lin Na knew what Sunian was thinking right now, then Lin Na would definitely be extremely speechless. The reason why I say this is because when Lin Na heard Sunian's yow, her alarm bells immediately went off. The reason why Lin Na is like this is because in Lin Na's heart, Sunian is not a simple person. Especially in this situation, if Sunian really just smiled, it would mean that he didn't take himself seriously at all. So among these two situations, Lin Na would of course choose the first one. What is Sunian thinking about? Of course, no matter what Sunian was thinking, Lin Na felt that she had to take it seriously. After all, she had just started to confront Sunian, so she had to be careful. Otherwise, it would be completely bad if Sunian gets the upper hand. I didn't expect Miss Lin that you would care so much about my husband. Sunian immediately adjusted herself. I'm not particularly concerned, I'm just curious. Hey, you also know that Mr. Lee's status should not be underestimated. Hey, our Lin family is nothing in front of the Lee family. Lin Na said this. He suddenly changed into an honest person. Sunian was really impressed by the speed with which he changed his face. Even Sunian felt that it was impossible for him to change so fast. Sunian now really understands what it means that there are people outside the world, and there is a sky outside the world. Mrs. Lee, if you don't know, you would think that I seduced Mr. Li. Ha ha ha, I'm just joking. Look at my mouth. I'm good at everything. I just don't know how to speak. It's for this reason. So I offended a lot of people. Sunian really doesn't know what kind of persona this guy wants to create in front of him. There are really a lot of tricks. Since this is the case, Sunian said directly, so you know this, so why don't you change it? Why not change it? These simple words made Lin Na a little confused what to say. This Sunian is so direct. Ms. Lin, you clearly know that you are not good at all, but you don't change it at all. Instead, you say it. Do you know what you are doing? This is moral kidnapping. I am not very familiar with you, and you start moral kidnapping. I hope I can tolerate your mistakes. Do you really think this situation is really good? Moral kidnapping, was all brought out. Lena. The corner of Sunian's mouth rose again. Miss Lin, You really have to be lucky that the person you met is me and not someone else. When she said this, she paused for a moment and continued. After all, I am an immoral person, so you can't kidnap me. There is no morality, no kidnapping. It's really amazing. Lin Na and Lan Min were speechless again. However, Lin Na was speechless, but she really felt that Sunian was more and more interesting. No, it was not ordinary, but very interesting. Mrs. Lee, you are really humorous. Suniandu had reached this point. Lin Na had no choice but to say this. Although Lin Na also thinks that she has no so-called morals, she doesn't give herself a chance to show it now. Humor, if you think I am humorous, then be humorous. But if my husband knew that you care so much about Miss Lin, then I would definitely be very happy now. By the way, it is very possible that the reason why my husband is so good at so fast just because you care so much, Miss Lin. If you put it this way, then I really want to thank Ms. Lin very much. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Which John Word. Chapter 996. Chapter 996 Answer, what do you think? When Lan Min next to him heard this, his pupils dilated slightly. What does Sunian mean by this? Li Baikan woke up? If Li Baikan really wakes up, then his situation will not be good. Is Baikan really awake? If Baikan wakes up, can you take me to have a look? Although Lan Min was panicking, he also knew that he must be stable now. If he cannot be stable, then the situation is very dangerous. Yes, even if Li Baikan wakes up, what's the use? That one was done voluntarily by Li Baikan. No one can cause trouble for themselves, not even Li Baikan. Why? Sunian, why did you say that? Why? Even if I have some misunderstanding with Baikan, we have been in a relationship for many years. Isn't it possible that I can't go and see this relationship? You don't let me see what it means. Is there something behind this? What can I have? Give me some examples and tell me about it. If it's really right, then I feel guilty and I might really let you see it. At this moment, Sunian had a condescending attitude, which made Lan Min very uncomfortable. Lan Min said subconsciously, what else can you feel guilty about? Did something happen to Baikan? He even said that Baikan didn't wake up at all these days. Why didn't Baikan wake up for so long? What happened? Matter. Sunian, I have been with Baikan for so many years. It can be said that Baikan has suffered a lot of injuries, big and small, but Baikan has never been awake for such a long time. What is going on? How do you know Baikan is not awake? Lin Na next to her really wanted to applaud. Although this Lanmin looked very unreliable, it was still useful sometimes. After all, there is a saying that says that love rivals are extremely jealous when they meet. I hope this Lan Ren can be more stupid, and it is best to force Sunian's true emotions out. In this case, I will be much better. Didn't you just say that? Sunian, what do you mean? Is Baikan awake or not? In your eyes, Baikan can be used. Is it true that you keep talking about love? Is it so cheap? Whether Baikan is awake or not. This answer, you guess the expression on Sunian's face became half smiling again. What do you mean I guess? I'm asking you seriously now. This question is very important. Seeing that the current situation was almost over, Sunian felt that there was no point in talking to this guy anymore. There are only two possibilities, either you are awake or you are not awake. Lan Min, you are so smart, you are really even, don't you know this? If you really can't guess this, then there's something wrong with your IQ. Personally, I really hope you can take a good look at your brain. After all, you are really young now. It would be really bad if you are really delayed. After Sunian said this, he turned around and left in a big way. Lan Zhen subconsciously wanted to catch up. But she was stopped by Lin Na. Lin Na said in a helpless voice, "What do you want to do? Do you really want to chase her?" I ask, "What's the use of chasing her? Can she tell you? If she can really tell you, then we won't be troubled by this matter." After Lin Na said this, she looked at Sunian's back. She got almost all the news she wanted, there's really no need. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich John Word. Chapter 997. Chapter 997 Lin Na can't be seen through by Huo Linyuan. Lin Na returned to the Huo family with a very angry Lan Min. The moment he saw Huo Linyuan, he said directly, "Master Huo, I think Li Baikan's situation is very bad now. If you attack the Li family now, you will definitely get a big surprise." When Lan Min heard this, he subconsciously looked at her with disbelief. Li Baikan is in bad condition. Where did Lin Na get such a conclusion? She has always been by Lin Na's side and doesn't know this. Lan Ji went through everything today in a short period of time, but he couldn't figure out where Lin Na got the conclusion. After all, Huo Linyuan is also the male protagonist, and his IQ is obviously not as low as that of the female protagonist Lan Min, so he didn't have any special reaction when he heard Lin Na's words. How to say it? 3 simple words really made Lin Na feel endless pressure. Sure enough, getting along with Huo Linyuan was not an easy thing, but even so, Lin Na did not let anything go wrong with her expression, and continued to say in the same voice as before, "Because Sunian is too calm, and now that I am in contact with Sunian, I feel that it's like nothing happened." Who is Sunian? This matter has caused such a big fuss. Do you really have no idea on this matter? Do you really not want to do anything? So at this time, the calmer Sunian is, the more suspicious he becomes. After Lin Na said this, the room suddenly fell silent. Lin Na and Lan Min both held their breath subconsciously. Are you so sure? Do you know what the consequences will be if you say this and it is wrong, Lin Na? Of course she is not sure, and it is nonsense to say this now. Sunian is not an ordinary woman. She is more cunning than anyone else. It is precisely because of this that Lin Na finds it more interesting to play with Sunian. So now she is talking nonsense in front of Huo Linyuan. Of course Lin Na knew what the consequences would be if she spoke nonsense, but, some things require bold people to dare to do so, in order to gain greater benefits. If you are timid and always do things within the safe range, then you will never get ahead in your life. It is obvious that Lin Na does not have that temperament. After all, if Lin Na really had that kind of temperament, she would not stand here and be so conciliatory with Huo Linyuan. Yes, she just wanted the Lin family to completely surpass the 2 big mountains of the Huo family and the Li family. Lin Na knew very well how dangerous it was for her to do this, but it was only fun to do so. "Master Huo, you have been dealing with Sunian for so long. Although Sunian seems to be in trouble, Sunian's feelings for Li Baikan are certain. And having said that, I think Sunian's appearance now is probably in to appease everyone. After all, everyone felt that something had happened to Li Baikan now. Even though Li Baikan's methods have become quieter due to this period of time, after all, Li's size is such that it is impossible for someone to be careless. Lin Na is betting now on Huo Linyuan's ambition and Huo Linyuan's arrogance. She really didn't believe that Huo Linyuan could really let this opportunity go. So what Lin Na has to do now is to work hard to control her situation and try hard to prevent Huo Linyuan from seeing through her. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Wich John Word. Chapter 998. Chapter 998. What's there to pay attention to? Then I saw Huo Linyuan walking towards Lin Na step by step. Lin Na, from the first time I met you, I felt that you are a very ambitious woman, but if a woman's ambition is too much, it will really bringing disaster upon oneself. Lin Na breathed harder when she heard this. Furthermore, women have been dependent on men since ancient times, so Lin Na, you are a smart person, and I think you should make the right choice. The first half of the sentence is okay, but the second half. It really made Lin Na want to roll her eyes. This Huo Linyuan is really too straight, just like an old man who lived in the last century. What does it mean? Women have been dependent on men since ancient times. Although Lin Na was rolling her eyes in her heart, she still bowed her head respectfully. Master Huo, you are right to say this. It is also for this reason that I have always felt that Sunian is not your opponent at all. Even if it were not for Li Baikan around Sunian, such a woman cannot appear in front of you at all. This is really disgusting to say. But what else can Lin Na do? The Lin family is now weaker than the Huo family. However, Lin Na still swore in her heart. I vowed that if I really had a chance, I would let this Huo Linyuan know how powerful he was. When Huo Linyuan heard this, he was really happy and immediately walked to Lan Min's side. Actually speaking, you women's life is easier than that of us men. After all, for you women, you need to do a lot just looking for someone to rely on. But it was obvious that Sunian had found the wrong person to rely on. Lin Na knew that her plan had succeeded when she heard Huo Linyuan's words. At this time, Huo Linyuan also saw Lan Min's expression was not good, and then raised her chin with his hand. Why does your face look so bad? What are you thinking about now? Are you worried about Li Baikan now? Lan Min, don't you know who is your man yet? Even though Lan Min did think so in her heart, she knew that she couldn't really say it now, so she smiled subconsciously. No, it's just that the child in my belly is a bit annoying to me. Linyuan, you also know our child rather naughty. After hearing this, Huo Linyuan frowned and looked at her. Such eyes successfully made Lan Min feel anxious. And Lan Min couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. She really didn't know what was wrong with her mind and why she thought about Li Baikan in front of Linyuan. You must know that Linyuan is stingy. If Linyuan knew what he was thinking, then he would really be doomed. At this time, Lin Na's voice rang out, Mr. Huo, you may not know that pregnancy is a very difficult thing for a woman, especially Miss Ian's body is special, so the chance of problems is normal. When Lan Min heard this, he subconsciously covered his heart. Sure enough, when Huo Linyuan heard this, his complexion suddenly became better, and he took Lan Min into his arms with concern. Jian'er, you are really wronged for giving birth to my child. Don't worry, I have already ordered the following. Tell them that no matter what means I use, I must find a new kidney for you. At the same time, Huo Linyuan thought of Sunian when he said this, which made Huo Linyuan's eyes flash with a hint of evil. Sunian, this reneging woman, if it weren't for him, you would have been fine by now. It can't be this uncomfortable. Then Huo Linyuan hugged Lan Min and comforted her. But after a while, some of his subordinates came in to report to him, and Huo Linyuan left. Just after Huo Linyuan left, Lin Na's voice rang out, Lan Shi, if I remember correctly, you seem to have covered the wrong place. Because in my memory, you seem to have a kidney problem, not a heart problem, and your heart, if something had gone wrong, you wouldn't be standing here right now. These words succeeded in making Lan Min's face look a little ugly. But there is another reason why Lan Min is ugly. She remembered that Lu Jing had said something similar. This made Lan Min couldn't help but feel a little annoyed in her heart. Why do people always keep an eye on this aspect of her? She is uncomfortable just because she is uncomfortable. Why does she need to pay so much attention to it? What is there to pay attention to? End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Which John Word. Chapter 999. Chapter 999 Speechless. Lena didn't want to say such speechless words. But I really can't help it. I can't help it. She now really feels that she might be tired of stupidity. Huo Linyuan seems to be quite smart, but how can he be so stupid when it comes to this emotional issue? It can be said that he is hopelessly stupid. By the way, how are you sure something happened in Baikan? Why don't I know? Did Sunian just say it? Lena. This question can still be asked. Real. Lin Na didn't know what to say, but when she saw Lan Min like this, she walked to her side. Hey, Lan Min, I can understand that people are greedy, but you can't be too greedy, especially but when it comes to certain things. If you are too greedy, then, it is very likely, that you will not get good results. No matter how stupid Lan Min is, he still knows what this means. However, Lan Min's eyes became sharp subconsciously. I understand what you mean, but there is something that is obviously yours, but it was taken away. Can you be willing to accept this situation? Lena immediately tensed up when she heard this. She did not speak immediately, but looked at Lan Shi seriously again. At this moment, Lin Na's eyes were like X-rays, constantly scanning Lan Shi's body. Such a look made Lan Min feel really uncomfortable. Lan Ji also wants to say something. But Lin Na raised her hand. Yes, yes, what you said is right. Just follow your heart. Since your things have been taken away, you must them back. After all, they were things that once belonged to you. Taking away what once belonged to you is really too much. This is simply a situation that cannot be tolerated by nature. Well, I won't bother you anymore. Just think about it carefully. You must think about it carefully and figure out how to get back everything you have. Lin Na turned around and left immediately after saying this. At this moment, Lin Na was really a little lucky, glad that her original decision was the right one and she did not continue to stand behind Lan Min. If she continues to stand behind Lan Min, then, Sunian doesn't know what to think of herself, although now Lin Na feels that in Sunian's heart, she must not be very good. Lan Min wanted to say something when he saw Lin Na leaving in such a hurry. But before Lan Ren could say anything, Lin Na disappeared directly. No matter how stupid Lan Min is, he understands what Lin Na means, and at the same time he is really angry. Lena, what does this mean? Is there anything wrong with what you said? Li Baikan kept saying that he would stay by her side for the rest of his life. But it was snatched away by Sunian. Why can't I take back the person I care about from Sunian? The more this happened, the more Lan Min felt that he had to let Li Baikan return to his side, and yes, Lu Zheng. Lan Min must let the whole world understand that she, Lan Min, is much better than Sunian. This is Lan Zhi's goal. If Sunian, well, not to mention Sunian, even Lin Na would feel that she was a little too incompetent if she knew what Lan Min thought like this. At this moment, Lan Yan suddenly felt a little pain in his stomach. It was also this kind of pain that brought Lan Min's spirit back to reality. Children, yes, she must take good care of her children. Children are the biggest bargaining chip in her hand. If this bargaining chip is gone, then her situation will be even more difficult. End of this chapter. The vicious female supporting character's character collapsed after her voice was eavesdropped. Author, R.O. Which John Word. Chapter 1000. Chapter 1000. What is the difference between this and in the street? On a weekday morning, all office workers have busy faces and everyone is in a hurry. Just at this time, I saw a man in a high-end suit walking to the door of the company with a serious look and standing there. And there were some people behind him. The people behind him all played a stereo. The big kind. Pedestrians passing by couldn't help but stare. One of the passers-by whispered to his companion, "Isn't this Lu Zheng? What does he want to do with such a big posture today?" After hearing this, his companion looked at Lu Jing deeply, and then said in a cryptic tone, "I don't know, but I see Mr. Lu's attitude today. He has done a lot of things. I think we will." There was a lot of excitement. Everyone in the surrounding office buildings knows that Lu Jing likes to cause trouble. So Lu Jing's appearance really made them super curious. I wonder what happened to Lu Jing this time. And under the gaze of everyone, Lu Jing cleared his throat and took out something. When people around saw Lu Jing holding something, they all stretched their necks. But under such circumstances, what Lu Jing took out was actually a box of golden throat lozenges. This really shocked the people around me. When Lu Jing finished taking the golden throat lozenge, he finally spoke, "Everyone, I came here just to let you witness something, to witness my heart for Sun Ying-er." Sun Ying-er. When Lu Jing said this name, the eyes around him suddenly lit up. It's the kind that's as bright as you want it to be. Lu Jing was not timid at all. After all, he was here under orders this time, so, if something really went wrong this time, he would not be blamed on himself. My purpose of standing here today is very simple. I just want the world to know that I really like Sun Ying-er. I know what I did before makes what I say now seem pale, but I really like it. Maybe it's because before Sun Ying, I met many people who disliked me and thought I was not smart, but they clearly disliked me but pretended to care. I always caught this in the past. Hey, this is really not my fault. I really had never encountered sincerity at that time, so I took this situation as sincerity. Sun Ying-er and Sunian, who were hiding in the dark, saw this scene. Sunian couldn't help but said, "What's the difference between this and defecating in public, sister? I'm sorry." There is indeed no difference, but only in this way can it appear real. When Sun Ying-er said this, she couldn't help but smile. "Nian Nian, how can you be so stupid in this world? Even if you give me," he wrote the manuscript, but he was still able to make mistakes. Now I really understand what it means to be hopelessly stupid. Sun Ying-er obviously said this out of disgust, as much as she wanted to, but she couldn't take her eyes away from Lu Jing for some unknown reason. After a long time, Sun Ying-er said, "Actually, defecating in the street is a different experience." After saying this, she walked in the direction of Lu Jing. She walked towards the landing scene step by step. I don't know why, but the smile on her face gets bigger with every step she takes. Finally stood in front of Lu Jing. When Lu Jing saw Sun Ying-er, his eyes were as bright as possible. End of this chapter.